If you were tempted to click on this video after reading the title, I shall try my best not to let you down. But you must understand, these things are subjective. This journey started with this sad little mushroom bag that I made a while ago. It looks neat in this video, right? Fresh, clean. That's how they all start out. This bag has been used every single day since I first made it. Here's what it looks like now. I have taken this bag with me everywhere, for dog walks, while doing the gardening, you name it. It actually looks far better in this video than it does in real life. But if you made your bag from the wrong fibers, keeping it in good condition is an uphill struggle. As you can see, my dog has even incorporated some of her own most luxurious Giangora into the fibers of my bag, but it hasn't helped a bit. This bag is going to get a good wash, a trim, then a putting away. I just didn't build into it the resilience it needed to survive daily life alongside me. So now I'm making another bag, a bigger one. The last one was also too small. And this bag will have eyes, 100% necessary and functional eyes. Well, not functional in their ability to see, but they're going to contain these black plastic balls, which are actually handy containers. It's not just going to be a bag with eyes. It will have other features too. I decided this would be a cat bag. So it had to have pointy ears, paws, and a tail. I don't think it really needs a nose or mouth. I think cats look cuter without those things. But that's just my personal preference. The eyes were going to be stuck halfway through the front-facing part of the bag, because to just stitch them on to the front would look weird. They might end up drooping down its face, and no one wants droopy eyeballs. This meant I would have to make the front of the bag either with 2 holes in it, which I could stick the eyes into, or make the eyes first and crochet the face around them. I started with the eyeballs. I made these a lot like the other compartments I made before, except there were some color changes. This cat has green eyes, so I started by crocheting the green iris around a green hairband. Next, the whites of the eyes. Now, I could have just carried on with the white, finishing off the eyeball with that color, but instead I decided to make the back of the eyeball pink. That way, when you pop out the inside of its eye, you can see the pink inside. I think it's actually less disturbing than if it were white. Makes it look more alive. And the ball fits in like this. Since it's supposed to look like the pupil, the ball is black. If you want to get them out, just give it a squeeze. Now that I had the starting point, the eyes, I then crocheted them together. Just going back and forth, row after row, adding stitches where necessary, and slip stitching into the middle row of the eyeballs. I then continued around to make a square shape. Yes, this cat is going to be a cube cat. I think that is the best shape for a cat that is also a bag. With the face done, I crocheted around to add depth, leaving a slit so that I could put things inside it. If you ever decide to make yourself a cat bag or something similar, I would recommend making a slit that is a bit longer than this one. Just think of the largest thing you might want to put into your bag and use that as your guide. I sealed up the bag by doing decreases at each corner until I had a completed body. I also ran out of yarn at this point. Apparently I thought I could somehow complete this entire bag with just 200 grams of black plush yarn. Thankfully, the vendor I got this yarn from still existed and had 1 ball in stock, so I ordered it. At this point I had a cuboidal body with eyeballs. Poor helpless thing. While I was waiting for the yarn to arrive, I wanted to add something to give the bag a bit more support. As it was, the shape was not well defined. It could be a cube, but it could also be some other shape. If you were to put anything inside, the shape would be lost, basically. So I started with some supports that would go on either side of the top of the bag. This would also be where the strap would go. I designed this in Blender so that it would fit the bag. Here it is, come to life. I attached it to the bag. It could have been a little shorter, but it still works well to provide the support I need the bag to have. I also wanted the bottom of the bag to be supported. If I'm going to be putting things with any significant weight in there, the bag may sag and deform over time. But I believe not every cat bag needs to age like this. We can do better. We can more evenly distribute the pull on the fibers by adding a firm base to the bag. Hopefully this will minimize any sagging and also protect the base of the bag. I made this base so that it would fit the bag perfectly. When I designed this in Blender, I knew it wouldn't fit on my print bed, but I still made the full-sized thing anyway. Then reluctantly split it into two separate pieces after Kira confirmed it really wouldn't fit on the print bed. Now, I didn't want the base to be stiff, so this isn't printed out of PLA or ABS. I chose to print this out of TPU, a nice and flexible material. This one is also really shiny. I blanket stitched the two halves of the base together. Then anchored the corners to the bag. And blanket stitched all around the base to attach it. Since this is in two halves and the material is flexible, when the bag sits, the middle will touch the surface it's on, so it probably could have done with additional feet. The main function of the feet, in my mind, is to protect the stitches that attach the base to the bag. Now with the top supports and the base attached, you can clearly see the shape of this cat bag. And now it will be far easier to decide the placement of all the features. But first, this opening needs a zip. Here I'm just putting a few stitches in where the end of the zip will be before cutting it. I did think about crocheting around the edge and attaching it with those stitches, but almost halfway through I decided against it. It's more something I would do when making a little purse, and I'd work straight down afterwards. Then I thought about attaching the zip through the stitches of a running stitch. This does pretty much the same thing, so I don't know why I did this. By the end of these two procedures, my zipper looked as though it had been abused. There's really no need to overcomplicate the unpleasant task of attaching a zipper. So just stitching the things straight on is far simpler for me. At this point, my extra ball of yarn arrived, so I could make the rest of the bag. I started with some ears. These are a bit like triangles with edges that are too short for it to sit flat. I also made two of the edges longer than the bottom, so that the ear is slightly longer than it is wide. Each ear is made up of two of these triangle shapes. There's a pink one, then a black one. I lined them both up and crocheted them together. This is what the finished shape looks like. Part of the reason I made the opening a bit small was because I was worried the ears would get in the way of the zip. I think it would have been fine to make the opening wider because this is how I positioned them. I whip stitched these on, making sure to stitch along the edges of the triangular side that made up the base of the ear. It can hear us now. The cat needs paws, so I made some white-tipped paws by crocheting cylinders. But that's just a bit too boring. It needs toes. So I made little pink circles for the paw pads and 3 toes for each paw. I know cats tend to have more than 3 toes on each paw, but this cat is so far from being anatomically correct, it no longer matters. This is a 3-toed plushie cat bag. I just whip-stitched these onto the paws. Here are all of the finished paws. I think those little toes really add a nice touch, and despite my best efforts to put the circles in the same place, they're not. They're all uniquely misplaced. I think there were a few different options for how the paws could be attached. I could have put them on the side of the bag, but I went with dangly front and back positioning. And the paws have to be facing backwards, so you can't see all the details from the front, because front-facing paw pads would be weird. Unfortunately, having the paws hang down like this means that every time I put the bag down, the paws will be hitting the floor and getting dirty and worn. Maybe next time I should make feet with a protective TPU base that actually hold the bag up. It would definitely need to be made from a stiffer material for that to work. I whip-stitched the paws on just like this. It can high-five now. Now, no cat is complete without a tail. The tail is just a white-tipped cylinder. I made it just long enough so that every time I put my bag down, it would touch the ground and pick up dirt, and I stuck it right out of the middle of the backside. And finally, the glorious creation is completed. It cannot replace my mushroom bag. I incorporated too many flaws into its design and used the wrong yarn. I really don't think this type of yarn is durable enough to withstand daily life. Maybe some plush yarns are durable, but I'm not sure about this one. So this will be an indoor cat bag for now. I've decided it will keep me company as I crochet, knit, and sew. Is this not the most stylish and practical indoor bag ever? No need to answer. I already know.